Hello, I'm Kotowski. I'm the head of sector in the department dealing with Connecting Europe facility. And it's my pleasure to take you through the process of preparation of grant agreements so that it's very efficient and you can benefit through it in a best way. First of all, congratulations on the achievement that you made it through the very competitive selection process. And now it's time to have good grant agreement done together with our project managers. The purpose of this is to give you some overview what are the most important elements in preparation of the grant agreements, how to go through the process in an efficient way. You will be receiving additional information from our project managers in charge of a particular action. They will have many extra elements for you to take into account. But in order to save time, to let you work on this process already now, we've prepared a couple of slides so we can show them to you and that you can use them in a best way ever now. Let's go to the presentation. So as I said, this is an overview. And first of all, there are a couple of administrative elements that you need to take into account when preparing this grant agreement. And you need to work on these elements as soon as possible, because from our previous experience, it can take a bit of time, sometimes even a couple of weeks, because it's not only our agency that is dealing with these issues. Actually, these are central validation services. There is a specialized entity dealing with many of these things, which I will talk to you about. And as there is a queue simply for the processing, this can take time. So first of all, please check that you have completed any pending validations with REA, Clear, PLL sign, and so on. You will have the details in the check table, which you receive from the PM in case something is missing and needs to be done. Then sign the declarations of honor as quickly as possible, because with the declarations of honor from each of the beneficiary, we cannot have the full grant agreement in force. In case there's some lacking information or some follow-up to be done with financial capacity assessment, because maybe your entity is not in a perfect financial situation, and then the central services will be asking you to do something about it, like provide financial guarantees and so on. So look into that and start working immediately. Check if your coordinator's bank account is valid and encoded properly in the system, because you will need this bank account to receive money from us. Then start encoding the grant agreements in the Sigma system, and this should be done within 3 weeks after the first communication that you receive from us. There's a certain exception for the Connecting Europe facility energy part of the program, as they deal with the so-called pre-GAP preparatory way. Finalize the grant agreement in the system not later than one month before the total time to grant. I would reckon it's about 2 months time from now. However, the project manager in charge will tell you what the exact target date is. Then complete the check table that you will be receiving from our from our project managers. This will be sent to you through the portal and by email itself, and then you will send it back to us duly completed. The signature process of the grant agreement, this is done by the coordinator only, and then CINEA signs last. And eGrant system will notify you when the grant agreement is prepared for you for signing. A couple of more information about this thing. There is a grant signature online manual which you can use. And the accession forms are required, and they need to be signed within 30 days after the signature of the grant agreements. And please note that only the coordinator signs, the other beneficiaries don't need to do it. The grant agreement enters into force on the date of the last signature. There are some reporting periods which we have defined, and you will notice perhaps that they differ to what you put in your applications. Actually, these reporting periods are predefined by our agency, and the PM encodes them in the system. What you need to do, though, is to adjust the budget and break it down in accordance with the reporting periods, and perhaps shift some figures here and there so they all match. Actually, it's quite normal that these reporting periods are different to your submission, because you couldn't have known how we define reporting periods in a different than annual way. Some information about pre-financing: normally we pay between 25 and 50% of the contribution, depending on the number of the previously mentioned reporting periods. Please note that the grant agreement has got fixed structure. These are general conditions and provisions which are not negotiable. Of course, you can familiarize yourself with them. And then we need your input to prepare the Annex 1, which is description of the action and the estimated budget for the action. There are a couple of more annexes as well. Please familiarize yourself, but no particular work from your side is needed for that. So we go now from the submission module to the grant agreement preparation module. Not everything is the same. However, we are trying to use certain information to the best possible way. And what happens? You submitted your structured information in your application as part A of the proposal. Now we will try to use it for the further fine-tuning and adjusting in line with the results of the evaluations. And this will be the core part describing the action and what needs to be done. However, we have also part B, as I said, which is needed for this grant agreement. And here we cannot really work in the same way, because what you submit as a PDF with part B information was a quite extensive long document, which now we have to shorten a bit and adjust to the purposes of the grant agreement. So it should not repeat the information which you have in part A. It should be an extra information, and it should be encoded in line with the particular guidance which we provide in the check table, and I will talk about it in a few minutes. Let's go back to part A first. As I said, the structured information defines the scope of the projects, and there are a couple of key elements of it. It's firstly the project summary. This is limited. It cannot be more than 4,000 characters. The check table will tell you again how to do it well, but this is important part because it's a text which will be communicated publicly to people. They will be able to read what your project is about. So you need to write it in a quite, well, easy way that it's easy to read as well. Then you have list of participants, including affiliated entities, list of work packages. Please define them. Please provide complete description, including tasks and technical and quantitative elements. We will need all that to follow up on the scope of the project at a later stage and check what you need to deliver on. There's staff effort. Don't work too much on this. Put 0 value everywhere. This is not really relevant for the Connecting Europe Facility program. For the list of deliverables, please define them as outputs, which we will like to see later, including some yearly progress reports on which we will work on a yearly basis to see where your project stands. Then we have a list of milestones. We use them for progress of the action to see where it is on an implementation line. So again, define them in line with the check table. And finally, critical risks with mitigation measures. This is part of part A to conclude. For the part B, it's a standalone text. As I said, only extra information which is not included in part A. And for this purpose, please disregard the template which we have for the part B. It's a bit general for also other programs, and we adjusted this for the scope in the check table. So rather follow those instructions, so nothing has to be repeated. The history of changes. In that table, you just put very simple information. The date of the final agreed version of the grant agreement with your project manager. Then for the description of the goals, objectives, technical description, parameters of the project, extra info on the global project, you added as information which is defined and put into the document by you. There are some annexes, the most important is subcontracting table with some cost estimations. I will talk about it in a minute. And 2 detailed budget tables per work package and the other one per reporting period. This is important in the sense that information here has to be consistent. Very often we see that in the subcontracting table, there is a certain final budget amount, however, does not correspond to the subcontracting amount in the budgetary tables. So keep those elements in mind when you encode information. Then you can add here in part B some pictures, diagrams, if you wish. It's not really necessary, but can be done. It's just, again, just the key information, so the whole document is not too long. Otherwise, if there are some elements which need to be adjusted, removed, and added, because this is defined in the evaluation report, then your project manager in charge will let you know. So, subcontracting table. You will have a list of tasks in your work packages. Please repeat them in the subcontracting table. Please briefly describe what these tasks are about, what you will be subcontracting, what the other contractors will be delivering for you in a brief manner. Then put your best estimated cost, especially if you don't know yet. Don't worry if these are just estimates and they will change later. We have some procedures how we can amend the grant agreements, and then you will be able to add them or adjust at the later stage. And please, kindly, please do not identify any subcontractors by name. This is not possible due to some procurement issues, and then should not be done in this table. Otherwise, we'll be asking you to remove this information later. For the budget, this is transferred from the submission tool, so we can use it. But as the reporting period are adjusted, and maybe you need to also check if the subcontracting cost, personnel costs have changed, then the whole budget needs to be a bit shifted, adjusted here and there in order to have correct information. You may have reductions which were required by the evaluation committee, so then from certain work packages, money needs to be withdrawn. Please have a look at this and make sure that the information is consistent also with the Annex 1 budgetary table. If in doubt, please ask our project manager for explanations. For some projects which we implement, they are based on some called unit cost and contributions. This is a simplified way of monitoring projects and reporting to us. Basically, there's no cost reporting, there are no financial verifications, there are no audit reports, but what we still need for you are the deliverables. We will never pay you if you don't have these deliverables on site and you will not show them to us, so please keep that in mind. Another way, if it's applicable to you, are the lump sum contributions. These are fixed amounts which we paid. Again, no cost reporting, no financial verification, no audit reports, and either you do everything and you receive our grant or you will not receive it at all. There is no contribution for partially completed work packages. And again, please keep in mind that we always want to see your deliverables. For the annexes 3 to 5, there are accession forms, which you will need to sign if you are in a multi-beneficiary action, and this has to be done not later than 30 days after the grant agreement signature. In Annex 4, you will have models for financial statements. They are not subject to any modification, but you're kindly asked to familiarize yourself with them. And in the Annex 5, there are some specific rules, such as, for example, the need to inform member states about the implementation of your action. For that purpose, our project manager in the check table will share with you the contact details of persons for each member state. So you will need either inform them through the portal by giving them somehow access to your project so they can follow what's going on, or you will agree that you will inform them by email. Also, we will let you know who the project manager in charge is by name, the name of the head of sector as well, and the email address of the functional email box of each unit. So you will have the ample information who you should be in touch with in case of you need any help. And here there is a reference document link where you can do a lot of reading about our templates, about preparation of grant agreements, about reporting to us through the eGrants system. So these are the key information, not so complicated to prepare this grant agreement, I hope. I wish you smooth preparation process for this, and I hope that you will be happy and you will be able to receive our contribution in a very short time. Thank you very much for your attention and congratulations again on receiving the grant to the Connecting Europe facility. Goodbye and take care.